students, we are discussing the X-ray diffraction method. Previously we discussed the two methods. First is the Liu diffraction method. Second is the Bragg's diffraction method. Now next is most important method is the rotating crystal method. Here we see on the screen that we use the X-ray source, that X-ray beam incident on a crystal which is surrounded with the reflected beam, which is surrounded with a cylindrical film, and the beam is reflected through the rotating crystal, and on the photographic plate we get the pattern. So this is the basic steps behind the rotating crystal. In the rotating crystal method, a single crystal is mounted with an axis normal to the monochromatic X-ray beam. Here we use the monochromatic X-ray beam, single wavelength X-ray beam we are using here. We see in the diagram here, X-ray pass from the collimating system. X-ray means here we are using the monochromatic X-ray beam, pass from the collimating beam, and a crystal which is mounted on the rotating shaft which is attached with the electric motor. As rotating shaft rotate the crystal so that the X-ray fall upon at various angle on the rotating crystal, and after beam pass from the after X-ray pass from the or we can say it is diffracted from the crystal, fall upon a photographic plate where we can record the pattern. So this is a very basic steps behind the rotating crystal. In the previous, the crystal was fixed, but here the crystal is rotating through the rotating shaft which is connected with the electric motor. So X-ray beam pass from the collimating system, and a fine X-ray beam fall upon a rotating crystal. The rotation required so that the X-ray beam fall upon every part of the crystal, and from here it is deflected, and on the photographic plate we can record the pattern. So this is the basic phenomena behind the rotating crystal. A cylindrical film is placed around it and the crystal is rotating about the chosen axis, and a crystal rotates, set the lattice will at some points make the correct Bragg's angle for the monochromatic incident beam. Again we can record only those reflected beam which obeys the Bragg's law. Those beam which pass from the Bragg's angle can be recorded, and at that point the diffraction beam will be formed and we can get the pattern. Lattice constant of the crystal can be determined by means of this method, and for a given wavelength, if the angle at which the reflection occurs is known, can be determined. Particular wavelength fall upon a crystal at a particular angle, and on the photographic plate we can find out the pattern, and that will define the lattice constant of a crystal. So by using this method we can find out the lattice point of a single crystal and other parameters of a crystal. By recording the diffraction pattern, means as the angle changes and the intensity of light changes, we can draw a pattern for the various crystal orientation. We can determine the shape and size of the unit cell as well as the arrangement of atoms inside the cell. So by using the rotating crystal method, one can find out the shape and size of the unit cell and arrangement of the atoms inside the cell by recording the pattern, by getting the values of angles and the intensities. What are the application of the rotating crystal method is that by recording the diffraction pattern, both angle and intensity for various orientation, we can determine the shape and size of the unit cell, as we are seeing on the diagram and the figure, that a film which record the shape and size or the lattice arrangement. The arrangement of atom inside the cell can also be determined by using this method. The lattice constant can also be known. Next method is the powder method. This is the most commonly used method for the diffraction pattern of the diffraction pattern of the X-rays. Plus, we can find out we can study the characterization of a material, maybe in the form of the powder or maybe in the form of the film. Here in the powder method, the powder is prepared after grinding the crystal, and that powder is also known as the mini crystals or the polycrystals. Here basic idea behind it, that we see that incident beam fall upon a sample which is in the form of the powder, and here the diffraction will takes place, and that diffraction is in the form of the D diffraction cone, and that can be at the light is diffracted at an angle to theta, and that is recorded by this form, the device carrier rings. Here we discuss the step by step. If a powder specimen is used instead of the single crystal, then there is a specimen, because there is always some crystal at a orientation for which the diffraction is permitted. Again, here we are using the powder method. These works as a mini crystals. Similarly, here these powders also follow the Bragg's law. These mini crystals or the polycrystalline samples follow the Bragg's law. Light from the X-ray fall upon these crystals, and they obey the Bragg's diffraction rule, and only those light will get the diffraction pattern which follows the Bragg's rule. Here a monochromatic X-ray beam is incident on a powder or a polycrystalline sample. Now, this method is useful for the samples that are difficult to obtaining the single crystal form. Sometimes we prepare in the laboratory, the sample is in the powder form. So this method is very much important for the sample which is in the powder form. So here on the screen we are seeing the diagram which explain the X-ray diffraction of the powder method. Here we see that left hand side there is a point A from where X-ray beam pass from the filter. Because we are using a monochromatic light, so we pass from the filter so that we can get the single wavelength light. After that, it pass from the slit. When it pass from the slit, it fall upon a crystal. That crystal is in the chamber, and this chamber is the rotating chamber, and P represent the plate where the specimen is placed, where we put the powder in this plate, and the cylindrical camera is on the sides of the cylindrical roll, and that record the pattern of the crystal. So X-ray light pass from the filter, pass from the slit, fall upon a crystal which is on the sample holder, and X-ray film is on the sides of the cylindrical camera. After that, the light is diffracted, and on the pattern we can get the pattern on this photographic plate. Now we can see that mini crystal is on the sample holder, and from here the light X-ray will pass from this sample, and then the pattern can be recorded on the X-ray film which is on the wall of the cylinder chamber. Now, for every set of the crystal plane, by chance one or more crystal will be the correct orientation to give the correct Bragg's angle to satisfy the Bragg's equation. Only those samples will be used which are having only those samples which are used, which follows the Bragg's angle and which follow the Bragg's equation, and that pattern will be recorded as a diffraction. Every crystal plane is thus capable of the diffraction, means light from the X-ray fall upon every part of the crystal, as we know that this sample is rotating at 360-degree angle. So X-ray will fall upon every part of the crystal, and that crystal give the diffraction pattern. So each diffraction line is made up of the large number of the small spots, each from the separate crystal. Each spot is so small as to give the appearance of the continuous line. So the spots which we are getting on the photographic plate will give the various spots, and these spots and when these spots are joined, then it gives the continuous line. Here we see in the diagram that this is the rotating, this is the photographic plate where we have the pattern. On the lower plate you are seeing that here the spots we are getting, at the middle we are getting the dark spot, and on the sides we are getting the round spots, and these spots give the pattern of the sample, and this we are getting by the rotation. Now this is the pattern, powder diffraction pattern. When the sample is placed in the sample holder, we can get the output by using this sample. So this the powder diffraction pattern gives the various peaks, which gives the HKL values of the sample. Moreover, it can define the planes of the sample. So by using the diffraction pattern, we can get the crystal structure of the material. Now, what are the applications of the powder method? Is most widely used for the identification of the unknown crystal material, as we discussed that it is most commonly used in the laboratories, as well for the research purposes as well as for the medical purposes. So X-ray powder diffraction is most widely used for identification of the unknown crystalline material which grows in the laboratories, like minerals, inorganic compound, etc. By using this, determination of the unknown solids is critical to study in geology, environmental sciences, material sciences, or engineering and biology. But by using this, we can find out the various materials structure and its composition. Characterization of the crystalline material can be done by using the X-ray diffraction method. Identification of the fine grained many minerals such as clays and the mixed layer clays that are difficult to determine optically, that can be determined by using the X-ray diffraction method. The clay is work as a mini crystals so we can identify the minerals, grain minerals in the various soil and the various different material presented. Determination of the unit cell dimensions we can find out by the X-ray diffraction method. The purity of the sample can also be measured by using the X-ray diffraction method. As we prepare the material, then the peaks, as we shown that peaks will explain the various composition in the sample. So we can find out the various impurities in the sample, or we can find out the defects in the solid samples by using this diffraction method. And with specified techniques, XRD can be used to determine the crystal structure using the various refinement. Means if there is a defect in a crystal, that can be easily detected by the XRD, and the model amount of the minerals present, that quantitative analysis can be done by using the XRD, as we are not able to do in the Liu method, but here we can determine the amount of minerals present in the sample. That quantitatively analysis can be done by using the powder XRD method. And characterization of thin film sample can be done. Up to now we discussed that a solid or the powder form we can do, but here if we prepare a thin films for by doping some method, then this thin film also be characterized by using the X-ray diffraction method, where we can determine the lattice mismatch between the films and the substrate, and the film is deposited on the substrate, so we can find out the various parameter of the film, as we determine the lattice mismatch between the film and the substrate, and to inferring the stress and strain on the film we can determine by the X-ray diffraction method. We can determine the dislocation density and the quantity of the film by rocking curve measurement. That can be also determined the powder method, X-ray powder method, which is difficult for the other methods. Measurement of the superlattices in the multi-layered epitextual structure, determining the thickness. We can determine the roughness, density of the film using the glancing incidence X-ray reflectivity measurement. By using the X-ray diffraction method, we can find out the thickness of the surface, roughness and the density of the film by using the X-ray reflectivity. Make textural measurement such as the orientation of the grains in the polycrystalline sample, as we are using here the various powders, so that orientation of the grains of a simple unit cell can be determined by using the powdered XRD method. What are the strength and limitations of X-ray diffraction method? In the X-ray diffraction method, the strength of X-ray diffraction method is that it is very powerful and rapid method, rapid technique to determine the material, to determine the sample or unknown material. So less than 20 minutes this technique can identify the unknown material. In the most cases it provides an unambiguous mineral determination. Sometimes we prepare the samples in the laboratory and that impurities, type of impurities, the sample is prepared or not, that ambiguous that can be determined by using the X-ray powder diffraction method. Minimal sample preparation is required in the XRD unit are widely available, as we are having a very small sample holder where we can put the very minimum amount of the powder for the characterization, so there is no wastage of the sample. So this is the minimum samples required for the characterization. Data interpretation is relatively straightforward in this X-ray diffraction, as we are having already files which can be compared with the standard data. So data interpretation is very simple in the XRD. Various parameters can be found out by the data which we can get from the diffraction. What are the limitations of this X-ray powder method? It is a very homogeneous and single phase material used for identification, but if there is a mixture, then it is very difficult to identify the various material. Liquid sample is not easily characterized by using this X-ray diffraction method. Must be access to standard references files of the inorganic compounds, so that we can find out the D-spacing and HKLs. All the predefined files are required in this characterization analysis. We require the various files, pre-built file standard references required for this. It requires a tenth of gram of the material which must be ground into the powder form is powder required, which is not used after the characterization. It may be wastage. So these are the limitations, and which requires a tenth of gram the material which must be ground into powder. For mixed material, detection limit is 2% of the sample. If doping takes place, so only the 2% of sample can be determined. For unit cell determination, indexing of the pattern for non-isometric crystal system is complicated. If the sample is isometric, so it is very difficult to characterize the material. Peak overlay may occur and the worsen for the high angle reflections takes place in these cases if the isometric crystal system is non-isometric crystal system is used. What are the advantages and disadvantages of XRD as compared to the other method? We discussed the various characterization method, but what are the best method for the characterization? Most of the characterization of the material is used to find out the structure or the symmetry. So XRD is the best method for the characterization of the sample prepared in the laboratories. X-ray are the least expensive method and most convenient method. It is most widely used method for the determination of the crystal structure. Crystal may be of the single crystal or is in the powder form or in the thin film. So it is very simple method or a very least expensive method for the characterization of the nanomaterial. X-ray are not absorbed very much by the air, so the sample need not be in an evacuated chamber. For the X-ray sample, it is not required for the vacuum chamber because X-ray is not absorbed by the air. So when the X-ray fall upon a sample, it directly characterizes the material. What are the advantages of X-rays? X-ray do not interact very strongly with the lighter elements. Sometimes the sample may be damaged when the X-ray fall upon a material. So X-ray does not interact strongly with the lighter elements, mineral elements. Sometimes the sample may be damaged when the light fall upon it. These are the references from where we have taken the slides or the content. Now we are discussing the various methods of X-rays. Up to now we have discussed the various method of X-rays where we discuss the Liu method and powdered method. In both the methods, we discuss the four methods, but in these two methods, Liu methods and the powder methods are the most commonly used method. But powder method is commonly used method for the characterization of the nanomaterial, as it is very easy to prepare the sample in this method and it is very easy to characterize the material, as the sample may be rotating throughout the various angles and the light of the particular monochromatic wavelength fall upon a sample, as we see in the diagram. Then that the polycrystalline move at 360 angle in this chamber and the X-ray fall upon it. When the light is diffracted from here, then it pass at an angle to theta. Light fall upon an angle theta, but it is deflected through at an angle to theta. So in the data we can get the intensity as well as angle. The intensity and the angle of the deflection, if plotted, then give the pattern like this. This pattern will define the various composition in the material which we are using, and these peaks define the material or defined the composition and define the lattice parameters and define the lattice plane of the crystal, and moreover it will explain the symmetry of a crystal. The HKL value which are used for the plane explain address. So this XRD is used for to characterize the various parameters of the samples which are in the form of crystal, which are in the form of powder and in the form of the thin film. All can be characterized by using this X-ray diffraction method. And the pattern which we are recording having the various spots, when join these spots give the symmetry of the pattern. As in the Liu method, we are having the various spots, and similarly here in the rotating crystal we are having the various spots, but here in the powder method we are having the various pattern. That pattern will record it through the intensity and the angle. So these are the various diffraction pattern method that will explain here. And the XRD used for characterization of the nanomaterial, this is the most important tool for the characterization. The various characterization methods we have discussed in this series, and now the most commonly used method is the X-ray diffraction. Now, thank you.